used to say all the time that you can do business with a crook as long as you know they're a crook.
Exactly.
I always hear you guys say that, and it's a thing I don't understand, honestly. Like, I understand in principle when you're saying, I don't have.
Well, you have an iPhone, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Fair point. Are you still talking to AI? I don't know. Is that something you feel like talking about? You have that AI thing that
that app. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Have you asked that thing about water at all? Because I've been meaning to ask you about that. I wonder what this AI would tell us about water. Because I think water in general is one of our biggest issues as humans, right? And AI doesn't give a fuck about water. I don't think. I don't see why it would. And I'm curious what an AI would answer us. We have problems with water, and I wonder what the solution would be there.
I would be more curious to see what AI, like Google's AI or Microsoft's AI, would say about it, because it's such a bigger system. But
isn't there a theory or something that the space is liquid? The outer space is liquid? Is a liquid?
Well, no, there's it's mostly dark matter and dark energy, so it's something. But it's not a liquid, but it's not empty space. There's something there. We just can't perceive it.
Yeah.
But it does look like a liquid because everything is suspended in it. It's very like, look at the moon. It's just just sitting there spinning around. It's so bizarre. And if you look at galaxies, they rotate evenly. Like a big album on a record player, which is very strange. And then there's something outside of the galaxy that's different than what's holding the galaxy together. So it's a very bizarre reality.
I just want to say this. I'm not condoning drug use, but this would probably be the best episode out there. Yeah,
just gonna say it. I can't wait to watch this episode stoned out of my mind.
Yeah, like that's the way to do this episode, because I don't know that you're gonna get anything out of this one that's gonna help you financially.
That's true. Yeah, get really high and watch this.
Yeah, but this is how our brains take a break. Maybe we talk about.
Well, talk about how the universe is held together.
But now, technically, when we take this conversation, we do boil it down. Right, and we have very real conversations about the immediate future. And it's very difficult to take and look out for people 100 years, let's say, or even 50.
That's impossible now.
Or even 50 years, right? But I can definitely look out and see the things that I think that are gonna happen within the next decade or the next 5 years. And so we are making adjustments in some of the things, and there are technologies and things that we are showing an interest in and starting to research and learn about. Because if any fraction of the things that we're talking about come true, we're at least investing or moving or migrating in a direction. And in addition to that, I will tell you, so there's an actionable item here. One of the things he's talking about is that because of technology, he said, that you might be able to live for hundreds of years. Well, the reality is that there are people, centenarians and blue zones in the world, that without the technology have lived to be in the hundreds. Right? The 118, 112, 100. There's things, right? So, and that's just based solely off diet and lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Calorie restriction as well.
Yeah.
And so there are things that you can do today, and you go, well, will this come true? It's already coming true. You already, how old are you?
45. Yeah.
You're already you should have been dead.
Lifespan.
You should have been dead a decade ago.
Right.
Actually, and if you think about this, is another
35 was old.
Yeah, 35 was it.
Well,
right?
that's not exactly accurate though.
During a window of time.
Well, that was the life expectancy, but it was skewed heavily by
infant mortality. Yeah, agreed. And people, women were having children at 12 and 13 and 14 years old. Right. Life started earlier. Family started earlier. So, like, if you look at this evolution that your ancestors have already went through very recent, look at the fact that what your age is now, and that the technology we have right now will very likely even keep you, if you're unhealthy, will even keep you alive longer. I've got unhealthy family members that are in 70s and 80s.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're unhealthy as hell. They've lived a terrible life.
They smoke.
Yeah. And will continue to do so. I've got friends that will literally take their breathing tube out to smoke their cigarette.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And put it back in.
I saw a guy on oxygen at a cigar bar last week.
That's what I'm saying. So, so it's just like, and technology is keeping them alive, right? So is it unfathomable? So one of the things, like the changes I'm making in my life, part of that is that I'm become acutely aware now that I've got this one sack of meat, this one vessel that I get to use right now, at least for now, based on technology.
Yeah.
And so I've got to do a really good job taking care of it and controlling the input. And until what point the technology can provide more than what it already provides today. And so that's kind of like the big push for me was this reality a couple of months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, that if I continue doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, I know exactly what my outcome is.
Yeah.
And if there's any hope to survive long enough to allow technology to enhance my life, right? And it's not just live to be a centenarian or live to be 100 years. It's to be able to do that and have the cognitive ability and to enjoy your life and have those memories, right?
Quality of life.
Was there something that you just described it, but was there a specific push towards recognizing mortality or where you were?
I feel like for me, so like we go backwards a little bit and you say, okay, well let's look at live thousands of years. It's kind of irrelevant today. Today what I have to focus on is what am I doing today, and am I enjoying my life today? And do I have things in the immediate future to look forward to, right? And so then you start to think about these things and you go, well, maybe you make a list of the people that depend on you. And you go, I don't necessarily mean depend on you financially, but think about the person that you pay a nicety to. Mm-hmm. Think about the friend that you check on. Think about the jokes that you share, the laughs that you share. Think about selfishly the things that you get from others that you care about, that reaffirmation of just that positivity, that whatever that you get from people you care about, but you also give. So like think of from a very basic level, think about those things, and I want more of that, right? And as long as I can have that, I want to be here. So then I start thinking about it from its very basic level, because your children will eventually get to a point where they don't have to have you. If you've done a good job, they don't have to have you to be able to survive. That's part of evolution. That's what we do as parents, is to try to teach our children to do better than we've done.
Start at the end and work your way back.
100%. Like begin with the end in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard I don't know if it was you or somebody else. It was like, who do you see? Who are the people that are at your funeral? You know what I mean? And then work back and figure out how to get those people in your life. And that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, eliminate them. I mean, like eliminate the ones and it doesn't have to be like a toxic. Like there are people that I care about. I could name them right now. I won't, because they could take it the wrong way, and sure. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. But there are people that I didn't see at the end of my life, or I didn't see when I imagine for yourself for a second. Let's say you won the lottery tomorrow, right? And people like to think lottery, the jackpot, the prize, you got the dream gig, whatever, the thing that produces this result that you've always wanted. Who do you celebrate that with?
Right.
Like once you've got that thing, who do you tell about it? Who are the people you call? Who are the ones you want to share those moments with? Like those are the people you should be around. The people that didn't make that list, especially the immediate list or the very next level from that, why are you wasting any of your time with those people?
Yeah. Right?
Like you should give them as little as necessary to live your life.
Just what's necessary. Yeah.
Just what's necessary. And it's not a hateful thing or you don't dislike. It's not about any of those things. It's just,
I think it's the same as you were saying earlier. It's your intake and what you consume, and also, I noticed I was spending a lot of time with too many people. And it's no offense to any of those people.
Exactly.
It's just too many.
You can have I'm not saying you can't ever have an interaction. Like if I see some of these people, I shake, hey man, how's it going? We've got some great memories.
For sure.
Right? Like there was a period of my life where I got some great memories of those guys. It's not a negative thing. They're just not part of my life today.
Yeah.
They're not part of my future. And, they could change, but and I hope that they are on the same journey. Like I hope they're trying to figure out and you dial in.
For them, yeah.
Yeah, for them. And like I have this thought with my kids. It kind of scared me the other day. I was like, I want to teach them to do the same thing, and I may not be part of their journey, right? Like that's the reality. Mm-hmm. And there will be periods where I'm definitely not part of their journey, right?
Well, it's you said earlier, the goal with the kids is to raise them so that they don't need you. And,
that's right.
I am firmly at that stage in my life. None of my kids need me. You know what I mean?
And that kind of sucks a little bit.
It sucks a little bit, but the byproduct that I get from that, which assuages me, is any interaction that they have with me is because it's wanted.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's
so
what
that's pretty fucking cool.
Oh, yeah.
Because it used to be mandatory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You sons of bitches. You get in here, and now it's like if they
Wow.
text me, they want to. They don't have to. You know.
How sad is it for parents that their kids don't want to be around them? That's
You know, I got a
nightmare.
couple of those. You know,
Yeah.
I got a couple parents who, you know, and it's rough.
did a bad job.
I hate it, you know, because especially at this point in their life, they're to a point where I feel like I can see them being more lonely, and I want to spend more time with them.
Yeah.
But life has been wild, and we've gotten to a point. And I know a lot of people who are lonely. I've been noticing lonely people more and more. And that, to be perfectly honest with you, I think is the thing that scares me the most about my life, right? It's like I see people being lonely at the end of their lives, and I'm like, oh, fuck, that I also set myself up for that at the end. And
you can change that, though.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying.
You can have a Scrooge moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like...
What are you going to say?
Well, he said something interesting about memory, like trying to make memories and managing your time. And there are these two scientists, Sarah Walker and Lee Cronin, and I'm pretty sure they're physicists, but they the work that they're studying, or the research they're doing right now, one of their theories is that it is the theory that the universe is actually becoming more complex and trying to store memories, like stop forgetting, and that's kind of what, if you look at our evolution of technology, that's kind of like what we're doing. We're, you know, with the internet, we dump all of our information into this pool, and we're trying to save information. And with social media, you have social media accounts. Just not forgetting, you know, because so much is lost. Like 99% of humanity is lost.
Right.
You know, and so I think that's what we're doing. You know, trying to extend our lives, trying to merge with technology. We're trying to not be forgotten and not forget, and be able to anything that we conceptualize or any ideas that we have, they won't be lost. It'll all be in our mind together.
Is it? Do you think it's more so a vanity thing, as far as
I think it's curiosity.
We don't want to be forgotten, or is it a progress of information and a regression that comes from not?
Do you?
Well, it's a lot of things, right? It's you know, like I know you're big into the longevity and stuff. So I think
we're trying to be now at this point.
We're getting into it, yeah. And I think what that is for me, I'm a really curious person, just inherently curious, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs are very curious people. So I think for me, part of it is there's so many things I would like to do or be able to do. And some things I can't do, like I'm physically incapable of doing and mentally incapable of doing, that these technologies can change that for me. So if suddenly you can live for hundreds or thousands of years, then you can do a lot of you can say, okay, well, I'm just going to focus on this one thing and master this, and then I can just move on to the next thing after I master that thing. And to me, that would be very satisfying. Now, for some people, that would be, I mean, I would need to, but it needs a strong word. I don't know.
So, real quick, you gonna play a game?
Yeah.
Real fast.
I like
games. Get on this too. You ready?
Yeah.
Look at everything you can see in this room that's red really quick.
All right.
Everything's red. Do you see anything red?
Yep.
You see all the red? You got it? You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Everything red. You guys got it? You got it locked in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Sure. How many green things did you see?
At least
Almost
one.
none.
One.
Yeah.
Right.
Mountain Dew, sure.
All right, now let's switch it up. Now look for everything green in this room real quick. Right?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
How many green things do you see?
About
5 or 6, yeah.
So when you're posed with a problem, you look for a solution. The problem is that you're only looking for the solution to the problem you've defined. Mm-hmm. So if we come in here and we talk about longevity, if you ask that question and you take it from a problem solver's point of view, you will start to discover all the solutions to longevity, right? Eventually. And if we focus on our net worth, or we focus on being successful, whatever, maybe successful is not tied to money, maybe it's a comedian, right? All the questions we ask ourselves, where we drive our focus, those are the things we find answers to. And then along the way, we don't know what was green, right? We only find the answers that we were seeking. And like, I think that's, for me, like, I'll ask you, do you want to be remembered by everyone or just by the people you care about?
Oh, yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, I guess I want to be remembered by the people that care about me.
Right?
Yeah.
So some people might say, I want to be known by everybody.
Sure.
Right? And like for me, like we look at social media, and I got a few people that have got between the millions of followers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've got, 6 figures worth of followers between everything. And I don't get anything from that. There's nothing real that comes from that, right? But the interaction from the few people that I have a personal relationship with means a lot.
Right.
The lack of that interaction I feel. Like if I post something and it gets 1.5 million views, but Neil doesn't have a conversation with me about it, or you know what I'm saying? Like the people that I care about, it doesn't affect them.
Weighted.
Right? Like I care more that I had a genuine laugh with a friend over something than I do about 1 million views.
Hey man, I saw that post. Love that.
Yeah, man, that shit was hilarious. Like I mean, just whatever, just that thing. But like that's what I'm starting to figure out is like what I'm seeking is more interaction with the people that we enrich each other's lives. Like that's what I've figured out. Like
that's what it's about. It's relationships.
Yeah.
When you gain certain levels of success in life, you have this experience where it's, I talk about the thing. It's always you. Mm-hmm. No matter what level you're at in the stages of your success or your life, it's always you.
Right.
And so a lot of people before they become successful, they think, oh, when I reach this level, I'm going to be this different thing. But you're not. You're still the same thing.
You're you with that other
thing.
You're
You're just you with more responsibilities. Right. And maybe things are easier or better in some aspects, but it's still just you.
Yeah.
And so you have to be happy with you before you get there.
Yeah.
But also, don't miss all the moments, because if we're hanging out doing this, or we're hanging out sitting at a fire in a backyard, there's not much difference between doing that or if he and I are hanging out on a fancy beach somewhere.
Yeah.
It's the same conversation. It's the same fellowship with somebody you care about, with a friend or family member or loved one. It's about the relationships. Yep. And it's easy to, especially for people like me and him, it's easy for us to hyper focus and just miss everything.
Right.
Yeah.
You blink and it's gone.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You would do it all again. What would you do differently?
See,
it's so strange, right? Because you can only get to the point you get to with the experiences that you've actually had, and so going and changing everything is that Pandora's box.
So that's the thing. So like the problem is I don't know the things I know today. I didn't know them then.
You couldn't.
Because I can look back, and we can all look back and go, so I can look back at times in my life where I should have made a different decision, right? And had I made that decision, I could have navigated things better. But the best I can actually do is be thankful for the lesson that I learned, right? And you have to fail. If you go back and you turn every failure into a success, you stop playing the game. Have you ever gotten so good at a game that you quit playing it? Mm-hmm. Right? You ever beat a game?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How many times do you go back and beat it? Do you move on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I actually changed my mindset. I'm not trying to not fail. The guy that's trying to not fail is not trying.
Right.
He's not playing the game. My goal is not to fail. My goal is just to mitigate, like, failure. Failure is part of the process. I want to mitigate how far I let my life
limit the failures.
I want to limit the fall and the fallout for my children, right? If I didn't have a wife and children that were dependent on me, with the mindset I have now, I actually would be 100% leveraged, 100% all in.
It's hard to fail, yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter.
Or if you do, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
There's not as much. There's not much at risk, right? Now the only
and also time, your age.
Yeah, I'm young. Yeah, I mean, if I'm in a different place in my life and I need to be making different decisions. But if you're young and physically capable, mentally capable, and you don't have the responsibility, those are the time to take the risk and to learn the lessons, to have the micro failures so that you can figure it out. But I wouldn't be the guy I am today had I not had those failures.
Yep.
So like they're you got to have them. You got to have them. So if I didn't play the game, if I didn't get on League or Mario or pick any game that you played, or Tetris, like if you didn't learn what not to do, you wouldn't become the guy you are today. Like it's part of how you learned. You wouldn't know today. You wouldn't be able to look back and go, man, if I knew then what I know now. You wouldn't know if you didn't fail.
Yep.
And like that's the key. So for me, it's just the only goal I have is not to fail so hard that it affects my wife and children in a life-changing, detrimental way.
Same here.
And then the very next goal that I have is that if I'm responsible for anybody else's money, I lose my money first.
Yeah.
You don't ever want to lose money of somebody you care about.
Be a good steward.
Be a good steward of money, right? And I got to tell you, and if it came down between giving Neil money or feeding my family, I would go to Neil and I'd say, hey, man, if I give you this money, I'm not going to be able to feed my kids. And Neil would say, feed your kids.
Yeah.
That is the only scenario and I mean starve it. I don't mean they need to stay in a multi-million-dollar lifestyle. I mean, like, that's the only scenario. So my priorities are my responsibilities.
I'd help you feed your kids.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
He would,
So,
My wife and my children, making sure that they're okay. To that, anybody that there's some level of accountability to these people that have entrusted me and that we've joint ventures with and we're doing these things, I want to do everything I can do. And then from that, like, so I limit failure based on the way that it affects others, because failure to me is just a learning experience. So if it's just a learning experience and it's part of the process, what you really need are people that are willing to fail with you and win with you. And if people are only willing to win with you, you need to cut them.
Yeah.
Cut them. Like,
right.
If they're not willing to fail with you,
they cut themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you got to you got to have people that are willing to play the game with you and fail with you. That's part of it. And if they don't have that mentality, get rid of them quick.
Or if you can, it's best if you can identify those people before you do something with them. You know, because some people just can't handle certain pressures, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And I would rather not do business with a friend because I know they can't handle it, than to try to give them a chance that I know that they can't handle. Right. You know what I mean? And then ruin a friendship.
Yeah.
Well, some people need guarantees, right? And there is no guarantee.
Right. We've actually done business with people that ask for guarantees. Like, we just shouldn't do business together.
Yeah. I mean, can you look at anything in your life? Can you guarantee any outcome? Can you guarantee that you're going to get up out of that chair and walk out of this room?
No, nothing's guaranteed. One thing about that is if that happens to any of us or anyone else watching the show, if you're an entrepreneur and you're going into business with a friend or another business partner and something falls apart, I mean, most opportunities are limited anyway. They're only going to last so long.
Yep.
That's why you always need to be looking for other options too. But when that opportunity comes to an end, if it does, and if that person's like that, or maybe this person just gets overwhelmed and they walk away and leave you with all the responsibility, which happens a lot.
It does happen a lot.
Don't let it go. Just don't worry about it. Don't hate that person. Don't waste your energy on worrying about why this person wronged you. Just accept that they couldn't handle it and they're out, and then just figure it out yourself.
Yeah, that's also good information. You know, when I've had people walk out on things, it's, you know, I get frustrated immediately, but then also it's, all right, at least this is the best time for me to find out. You know what I mean? I found out right now. I could have found out later.
Yeah.
So,
And they may not be a bad person.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have people that have technically wronged me in the past in business, but I don't dislike them, and I don't have hard feelings towards them. I understand why they did what they did. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. And if, you know, and there's nothing I can do to change it.
Yep.
And being mad at that person doesn't fix anything. It just makes it worse. Yeah. And it makes me feel worse.
And it's how to just do what you got to do to move on.
Yeah, just move forward.
Get the job done.
Move forward. And you know, it's funny. It's interesting that many times. So here's the thing. I've done business with people, again, that at one point in time in their journey that I felt like they wronged me. The circumstances had changed, and I felt like there was that the person had evolved as well. And these people, and we ended up doing a deal together. We did, you know, a joint venture of sorts, and it was beneficial for everybody. The difference is that this time I limited my risk. Right, I was well aware of what they could do to me, because they've already done it. So I just acted accordingly. You know, so like if you've got a friendship or a partnership or a thing, and somehow it makes its way back to you a decade later, and there's an opportunity, you don't have to necessarily say, no, I'm not going to do it because of these reasons. You can say, I'm worried or concerned about because of these reasons, and because of that, I'm willing to do the deal, but only under these circumstances, right?
Yeah, that was what Jeff used to say all the time that you can do business with a crook as long as you know they're a crook.
Exactly.
Or whatever the adjective is.
I always hear you guys say that, and it's a thing
I
I don't understand, honestly. Like, I understand in principle when you're saying, I don't have.
Well, you have an iPhone, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Fair point.
No. I mean, you can do business with someone as long as you know who they are, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know people that are addicts.
Right.
And in some way, we do business together. There are people that are alcoholics. There are people that are criminals, right? And criminals is a broad term, right?
Sure.
Like if you hurt somebody 10 years ago violently, that was a criminal act, right? They've served their time, they've done their deal, and they're a changed person. But I mean, there are some business relationship that we have with them, right? But I'm aware of what they've done. Do I have them around my wife and children? No, right? Like you can look at people.
Also, you have contracts and stuff like that, so you can,
we protect ourselves. But the point is that there may be some added value there, right? There's some opportunity, and I can't just not do it, but I can dictate the terms under which I will do it, right?
Yeah, take the information, all the information,
sure,
and make the
decision. Like I don't know if you have TikTok or not, but if you're going to operate with TikTok, you understand. Take all the media brouhaha about it. There is some level of you're doing business with
the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, that and so are a lot of other apps. It's not just TikTok, by the way.
That is probably the worst.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that, you do it under the TikTok has made you agree to some things,
right? Yeah,
right. So like I'm that version of it, but just with me in my life. Like if people are going to be allowed into my life, then I've got to agree to it, and I've got some terms that we're going to abide by. And if not, hey, it's no hard feelings. It's not for me. And we've actually negotiated some really awesome deals because we didn't want to do the deals.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't want to
throw out an impossible deal, and they agree to it.
And they agree to it.
All right. One other thing too is it's on the topic is. You should always try to make your relationships. You should always give 100% in your relationships. If it's an important relationship to you, you should give 100% to it. And if it's a business relationship, you should give it 100%. And you should value that relationship and that opportunity. And Daniel and I have life always ebbs and flows. It's always waves. You have good waves and bad waves, or you have the valleys between the waves. And some of those valleys are deep, and sometimes you can lose a lot. And it's good to have people in your network like he and I. We've lifted each other up at different times throughout our careers. There's been times when he's been down, and there's been times when I've been down, and we just extend a hand and pull each other up. And the better your network, the more likely that is to happen. So that's one way to mitigate failure, is make sure you have a strong network. So if something happens or something goes wrong, you've got other people to lift you out of it.
Yeah.
And because you're being you're a good steward, and people know that. They know if they can trust you, and if you're a good steward of your opportunities or their opportunities, or a good friend. It's how much depth is in your character.
Right.
And that has a lot to do with that.
There's an old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, something like that.
Yeah, that's good. You asked about reproduction in the future.
Yeah. Well, he did.
That's one of the funnest things. That's one of the funnest things I like to do.
That's practice. That's actually.
I've had trouble executing, but I'm definitely trying.
That's changing rapidly, and it's likely that in 10 years, most.
Don't tell my wife that, because mine hasn't changed rapidly. Mine's pretty much the same.
Well, there's a lot of variables to it, but if people do start living much longer lives, then reproduction will be much less, because you'll have less need for more people. Yeah, I mean, we need more people, but not as many.
Yeah,
and it will regulate, and that happens anyway. First world countries, the reproduction rate's much lower. That's why Japan's having issues with dying out, like aging out. But in 10 years from now, or I'd say by 2030, a lot of people won't even carry their babies anymore in their womb. They'll probably have like an artificial womb. Maybe women will carry an artificial womb with them.
How soon?
Probably 10 years.
Really?
Less, maybe. Just because you'll have all these genetic options, so you can say, well, I want to make sure my kid doesn't have any of these diseases. It's not going to get cancer. You'll have the ability to modify
designer babies.
Yeah, designer babies. and it'll be a healthier society. You know, you have everybody's intelligent, everybody is healthy.
We're doing a real injustice to females out there because you're robbing them of the opportunity to have that glow.
Well, there is a thing there, and that's why that'll probably be something we have to find a solution for, because I think there is a benefit in a child being inside the mother, and it also affects the mother's hormones. Because my wife changed completely. Yeah. After she got pregnant and we had our daughter, like she's a different human now.
They talk about,
and I am too.
I read a study not that long ago, not a study, an article where a study was cited. Anyways, I was watching TikTok, so, but it was about the bond between a child and a parent. If children who are not interacted with, something about. Children who are born prematurely are missing certain chemicals, and then kids who are not allowed to be around their parents for the first 3 months end up being really different in their brain and a little harder than others. So
you said something funny, by the way.
Who was that guy? He was like one of the serial killers, or maybe it was the bomber, the
Unabomber.
The Unabomber.
That Kaczynski.
Yeah, he was separated from his mother, I think, when he was a baby.
Oh, really?
And he was also experimented on and stuff. But
I can't remember who was talking about it. Is a comedian. I won't throw names out, but something. He was like, everybody was bitching and moaning about that Unabomber fucking manifesto, but I read it. It's pretty good. Not sure you get to say that, but from all accounts, it's well written.
Sounds like something Doug Stanhope would have said.
It was somebody local.
Okay, that's good.
Somebody you know. Yeah, actually, I know who it was.
That's funny.
That's funny.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I get to help deliver all three of my kids, and it looks like a wrinkled tennis ball coming out. That's weird. Their scalp, like their head, like it just. And I got to tell you, it trips you. I went way the wrong way here, but the thing that freaked me out the most every time, I actually had nightmares about this. Afterwards. When the head is out, like you see a head and the vagina basically wraps back around the neck.
Oh yeah.
Like all you see is a head. I'm like, there's no way the shoulders are coming out. Yeah. Right? It's pretty brutal.
One of my kids.
It's the trippiest thing to see, like just a head.
They had to crack his collarbone. One of my kids to get him out. It's wild, man.
But yeah, so it's just so and all the bones and everything move. They're
They're like rubber.
Yeah, I mean, but still, like that. Still, like I just got a visual, like of a. I mean, like so for a little while afterwards, you go, it doesn't affect you. If you see that, it does. I mean, it affects you differently.
Before we had Isla, I was like, I don't think I want to see the bird. I'll just stay up at the top with you.
Yeah.
And like hold your hand and stuff.
Yeah.
And but then when we were in the delivery room, I'm like, I've got a leg. Yeah. I'm like push, and I'm all into it, And then like she just plopped out. She was a good size, like not a huge baby, so it was like. When she just shot out of there, I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, it is wild. You can't comprehend it, right?
And
if you've not seen
deformed head and stuff.
Yeah.
My son
is that normal? Is she okay?
Dude, my first son, my oldest boy, was born 2.5 months premature, and I was 18 years old, man. I hadn't gone to the fucking Lamaze classes. That was the last 2 months. We hadn't gotten there yet, and so he was born very premature, and we had to go to a different hospital that could handle that. And we went there, and he was born, and I looked at him, and I was like, oh, shit, he's a mess. You know what I mean? He was tiny. He was purple. His head was crazy shaped. You know what I mean? It was fucking weird. And I thought, well, all right, my kid's he's fucked up. This is what I am forever. It was 2 days before they told me that was completely normal, and I had no idea.
They just didn't tell you.
Well,
he was telling all his friends that
they thought it was fucking normal,
but I'm like, they didn't know to tell you.
They didn't know to tell me because they know. Yeah. I had no fucking idea. You know what I mean? But then there's a chemical that you get when your child is born. It's called oxytocin.
Yeah. And flexibility.
Yeah. it's a chemical that
relaxes
hits parents, and so it helps with that. But it also, I think historically, the reason for it is just to keep you from eating your young. And so it gives you more tolerance with your children.
Wow,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a wild.
I know it also makes their hips more flexible and stuff too. Like women, it has to do with their it loosens tendons.
Yeah, like your
it
pelvis
allows tendons to stretch more and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
This will blow your mind too. This is sort of on topic. So I read this article. This was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. So this science, it exists today. They can take skin cells, and you could take a skin cell from two different people and make one an egg and one a sperm and create a human from from anybody's skin cells. Single skin cell. Yeah, so we
what is it?
So we have the ability to transform a cell into any type of cell. And so like if you're a homosexual couple, say like two guys, they could have a child together, or two women could have a child together. So it's
without the eggs and the sperm and all that.
Yeah, just take a skin cell, and then
when did they do this?
And then they'll make that. I think what they do is they make the skin cell like a brand new stem cell,
right?
And then they then they transform that stem cell. They recode it and make it grow into a sperm cell or an egg cell. And then they can join those together.
How new is this technology?
I mean, I read this article 3 or 4 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
crazy.
It exists today.
I'm definitely the old guy who's like, I don't want change. I'm good with. And you know what's funny is I'm fine with. I'm like, oh, we keep people the way people are now, but also I'm like, I fucking hate this. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
We'll be in here having a podcast. With you, like we had to come out of the simulation to have a podcast with Eric.
It's like that person that you have a group chat with.
Why do you speak so slowly?
I'm still driving an antique car. Yeah.
What'd you say, Seth?
I said it's like those people in a group chat that have green text. They don't have an iPhone. I don't have service.
That's way worse than that.
Yeah, that is frustrating though. Actually, I've gotten to the point too where I go to FaceTime somebody and be like, "Oh, I don't have FaceTime." I'm like,
what's wrong with you?
What are you doing?
That is an interesting technology. Yeah. Like, why is that exclusive to Apple?
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, you can use, like, Facebook, I guess, to FaceTime people.
That's true.
Yeah,
well, that's Facebooking.
Yeah.
I think you can use a lot of those messaging apps to FaceTime people, too, now.
Yeah, but they don't call it FaceTime.
Yeah. Or Zoom. You have Zoom on your phone, I guess.
Yeah, some video messaging. Yeah, it is interesting how easily accessible FaceTime is.
It should just be normal.
And you know what's funny is it's like, oh, you can't just FaceTime, and then you got to go to Zoom. So I got to swipe over and click a different app, and I'm like, I don't want it. That's too much. Yeah. Meanwhile, 10 years ago, I'd have been like, this is magic.
There is a lawsuit right now among some of these companies. I don't want to speak incorrectly, but I'll just speak in broad strokes. And the lawsuit is predicated on the fact that certain companies have made it more difficult to use their competitors' apps, right? So,
for sure.
For example, like if you're payment processing, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's got something to do, and it involves iPhone as well. But it's the default setting for the transfer, like your Apple Pay. Mm-hmm. Like they're suing because these other companies aren't there as one of those default options for a payment processing, and so they're saying that it's predatory. So there's some lawsuits dealing specifically with the use of technology and how they're using it to compete against each other.
We know an interesting thing about technology is, with biological agents, diversity is really important. Having a very diverse group of people, it actually is better for the species or animals or whatever. You want diversity, because if you don't have enough diversity, you'll die out. Like you'll have a genetic.
I got another question.
You'll have deformities and stuff and disease.
The same like inbreeding, right? Like you're not introducing any
new.
There's no novelty.
Yeah.
So it's what killed the Neanderthals. But with technology, you need diversity too, and there's a big legitimate argument that tech companies should share more of their information with each other, to make the technologies better, and it's happening. I think eventually, even Google actually, they're one of the biggest ones that do it. Google started sharing a lot of their source code.
Wasn't that's a big Elon Musk thing, right? It's like
he shares a lot of source code.
Open source.
Yeah, open source. Everything really should be. It would be better if everything was open source. And I think when you see companies like Google or even Facebook's doing it now, it almost seems like they've those companies have gotten to a level of power where they're like, well, maybe we shouldn't just be the people with this responsibility. Maybe we should have other people jump on board with us, because if they do have sentient AI or AI that's almost sentient, it's a big ethical
There's no way
responsibility.
the AI is not sentient already, right?
I mean, it's possible.
There's no way.
It seems. Well, we don't know what sentience is.
Yeah.
It could just be. It could be. It could just be a projection. Like us projecting into it. So, which that might be what consciousness is anyway. Maybe consciousness is this fundamental part of reality, and once you reach a certain level of complexity, you just tap into it, and you access it. That's very possible. If everything's just data, that's highly possible.
I did have a question earlier. Like, is it against the rule? Like, if I want I want Jessica to have 10 different versions of herself. Like, maybe I want one with.
Yeah, why not?
We're gonna keep it PG, but maybe I want one with bigger parts than another, and maybe I want one with different colors, and maybe I want one with different color hair.
There's a version of them.
Seth said balls.
It's just there's like the sex version of Daniel and Jessica. And it's just this big bulge, and then she's got like just giant boobs and big ass.
But bald, could work. What was that, like the G.I. Jane look? Like some kind of.
He said balls. But bald is good too.
Yeah. Balls, yeah. I'm fairly.
I mean, you don't have to be human.
No
either.
wiener though, just balls.
Yeah.
You could be anything.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Well, there's a wiener, you just can't see it. It's a retractable one.
There you go.
It's all balls.
That would be convenient. I want one of those.
You say that now.
I want retractable balls. That's a bad design.
I'm like you with the fucking chip in the brain. I don't want to be first on that one.
No.
Put me in line. I'll think about it after I see the first couple.
Version 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait for the second or third update, maybe.
Get past all the infections and the lobotomies.
Retractable dick would have been a good idea,
Yeah.
Retractable dick.
Hey, there we go. We just invented something. Retractable dick.
They got kinds. I think that if guys got like ED, they got like a thing, and it's like hydraulic, and
it's
it'll
a button.
put, yeah,
they have that. Yeah.
We're talking about healthy, perfect humans, man.
Well, the thing you're talking about earlier, maybe we could eliminate erectile dysfunction.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if we just make it
I like
about
how
that.
he's trying to solve problems.
I have I have a quick pitch for you guys before we head out.
Let's do it.
So we have the next episode of the Tom Simmons Show that comes out later today is all about male birth control and the options that are available. And one of the things.
What?
Male birth control.
What's that?
Well, basically, it's where you take the initiative to control your part in the pregnancy, right? So
Like pulling out.
instead of the condom or pulling out, a better option that's more efficient or effective, more proactive, right? Because there are men who have children that they don't want to. And so there's male birth control. It's all studies right now.
What if I pay for her birth control?
That also counts. That's one of them.
That's one of
but
them,
it is not 100% effective, right?
My pullout game is probably statistically just as effective, if not more effective, than birth control.
My pullout game is fantastic.
Mine is too.
Because I've only had 3 kids. I've had sex 50,000 times. Literally, I'd had sex 3,000 times before I got to high school. Literally, we checked it. So,
So the male
That's
birth control
pretty
thing
good.
is a pretty fantastic conversation. So we had a good conversation on the podcast.
All right.
There are these studies, and I think the best way to raise money for these things and these studies is we get a booth at like the NBA All-Star game, and we just try to get professional athletes because they're the ones that are having being.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The Olympic Village.
I really think that they would fund the fuck out of male birth control.
Oh,
if
yeah.
we just had a fucking
is this a
booth,
real thing?
I think I'm trying to make it a real thing.
No more pulling out and no babies.
Yeah, you don't have to pull out, no
Be great.
condoms. You know what I mean? It'd
Yeah.
be fucking fantastic, man. And
Is there any technology for that?
So that's what the whole episode's about. But there are two.
So we need to invest in this company. Is what you're talking about?
I don't know if we need to invest in it. We need to get some people. I think professional athletes are an untapped resource for the funding of that.
I'm going to say something that is probably a terrible generalization, but I just think that there's some men are seed givers, and on a biological sense, women are bearers of the seed.
Okay.
There's some innate thing inside of me that, like, I should be getting a vasectomy. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
I'm probably gonna get one soon.
Right, but it's like this. You're going against your biological. So I just feel
That's
like
in the episode too.
I have a thing too about it. Like I don't really want to do it, but
You're compulsory. Well, it's a compulsory thing.
I just don't know if the men would. I don't know if men would actually take it.
No,
I don't know.
There are large groups of men that wouldn't. And,
as long as it doesn't like demasculate you.
Yeah. Right.
Like if it's like I've heard of like wanting to use estrogen stuff like that.
Yeah. So
I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah. There's better options. So there is that part of us that is like we only want to procreate because we are animals. We want more of us, and the more of me that is possible, the fucking better. Right. Which is how we.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But so that's the natural part of the thing. But as we do get older and more responsible, and life is crazier, there might be some people who wanna just fuck whoever they want and don't want to have the risk of having a baby with the person that they wanted to fuck just because they wanted to fuck. You know what I mean? And that's where really male birth control.
I like.
Well, also if it changes you,
people are gonna be pissed at the commercials I'm picturing in my head, but this could be really fun.
I'm just saying if I took something that changed my personality to where like
my
wife comes in the room, I'm like, I laid out a blanket and some candles and all this shit. She'd be like, I just don't want to have sex with you anymore. It's just,
she might love some blankets and candles, but yeah, the the emasculating part is a thing. So there are. I can't remember what the other term was. There's hormonal, and then there's another type of
non-hormonal.
They talked about using testosterone therapy to as a male birth control. It does affect you. It does lower your sperm count drastically.
I'm too angry to
Some of them do. Yeah.
But I still know plenty of guys that were on testosterone that have children.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was something that was said in one of the episodes of Tom's show where his kid was talking about vasectomies and stuff, and he said, vasectomies lower your testosterone, which isn't necessarily true. But so there's a lot of
you can just supplement testosterone though.
Yeah. Anyways, I think there's a really good opportunity to have a funny video of a booth at an NBA All-Star game talking about male birth control. I think we could actually raise a lot of fucking money. You just need one guy who's had a couple too many kids, and most of his contract is going towards paying for those fucking kids.
That's the guy you sponsor.
That's what I'm saying.
He's
that guy fucking is gonna. Sean Kemp would donate a ton of money 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Anyways.